Coming up in today's show, a major tariff reversal tied to a Greenland deal, a winter storm threatening millions across the South, and new data reshaping the global rare earths race. Plus, in Podcast Extra, one state's election map could reshape Congress. The FDA sounds an urgent warning about recalled tuna, and a real-life aviation scam straight out of Hollywood. And here's today's trivia question. Which state had the first commercial television station west of the Mississippi River? It's Thursday, January 22nd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm Ayla Brown, and thanks for starting your day with the Flyover Podcast. We're getting you caught up on everything you need to know, fact-based, and in under 20 minutes, so you can get on with your day. Ready? Let's take off. President Trump says he's canceling tariffs on 8 European countries as part of a new Greenland deal framework he announced alongside NATO chief Mark Rutte at the World Economic Forum. During his speech in Davos, he gave his clearest rejection yet of using military force to acquire Greenland, while highlighting this long-term arrangement involving missile defense cooperation and mineral rights. Markets reacted quickly, with the Dow rising nearly 600 points after the announcement. The White House says discussions about Greenland's role in the Golden Dome missile shield will continue, led by Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Turning to weather, more than 175 million people across 35 states are bracing for what forecasters warn could be historic winter storms. Meteorologists say this system could bring devastating ice from Texas to the Carolinas, raising the risk of major power outages as ice weighs down trees and power lines. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has activated state emergency resources, and major airports in Dallas-Fort Worth, Atlanta, Memphis, and Charlotte are preparing for heavy travel disruptions. If you are in any of these areas, please prepare and stay safe. And in global resources, the U.S. Geological Survey has released new data showing that while China dominates rare earth mineral production, Greenland ranks 8th worldwide in reserves. Greenland's estimated 1.5 million metric tons have never been developed commercially due to environmental rules and local political pushback, but they're now drawing renewed geopolitical interest. China still leads by a wide margin, producing over half of the world's rare earth supply in 2024, and controlling the largest reserves overall, while the United States ranks second in production and holds nearly 2 million metric tons in reserve. Here are your top political headlines. President Trump has signed a new executive order aimed at keeping large investors from buying up single-family homes. The order directs Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to define exactly what counts as, quote, large institutional investors and a single-family home within the next 30 days. The administration says the goal is to stop Wall Street firms from pricing out everyday buyers, though the specifics of enforcement are still being worked out. In Congress, there's a major development involving the Clintons. A House committee has advanced resolutions to hold former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusing to sit for depositions related to Jeffrey Epstein. In a rare bipartisan moment, 9 Democrats joined Republicans in voting for the contempt resolution against Bill Clinton. The resolutions now move to the full House. Meanwhile, the administration says growing international support is forming around President Trump's proposed Board of Peace for Gaza. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff says as many as 25 countries have privately agreed to join, though only 7 have publicly acknowledged it so far. Israel and Egypt both added their names on Wednesday, signaling regional buy-in as the U.S. pushes a long-term stabilization plan. At the Supreme Court, justices heard arguments on President Trump's attempt to fire Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook. Cook was appointed during the previous administration, and Trump is now seeking the authority to remove her. Both conservative and liberal justices suggested she should have some path to challenge the firing, raising questions about how much independence the Federal Reserve's board members are entitled to. Here are those podcast extra stories that you're not going to find in the email edition. California Republicans are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and block the state's new congressional map. They filed an emergency appeal arguing the map, drawn by Democrats and approved by voters through Proposition 50, unfairly tilts future elections by giving Democrats a chance to pick up several House seats in 2026. A federal court recently rejected the GOP's claim that the map was an act of racial gerrymandering, saying instead that it was simply a partisan redraw. Now Republicans want the Supreme Court to weigh in before California's March candidate filing deadline. Turning to consumer safety, the FDA is warning people to avoid certain Genova yellowfin tuna products after recalled cans tied to botulism risks were mistakenly sent back to store shelves in 9 states. These cans were supposed to be quarantined after defective pull tab lids raised concerns about contamination with a potentially deadly toxin. But a third-party distributor accidentally shipped them to major grocery chains in Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Maryland, Virginia, and California. And the FDA says even if the tuna looks or smells fine, do not eat it. And please tell someone about this as well. In fact, share the podcast with them so they can hear it from my mouth. And finally, a real-life Catch Me If You Can style case is now unfolding in federal court. You remember that movie, right, with Leonardo DiCaprio? Well, a former Canadian flight attendant is accused of impersonating both a pilot and an active flight attendant to score hundreds of free flights on U.S. airlines. Prosecutors say 33-year-old Dallas Pokornik used fake employee credentials from a Toronto airline he once worked for, giving him access to tickets normally reserved for airline crews. He was arrested in Panama, extradited to Hawaii, and has pleaded not guilty to wire fraud charges. Court documents even say he requested a cockpit jump seat, though it's unclear whether that was ever granted. Coming up, a century-old hot dog brand sells for nearly $500 million. 2 MLB stars punch their tickets to Cooperstown. A breakthrough spray-on gel stops bleeding in 1 second. And McDonald's may bring a massive cult favorite burger here to the U.S. But let's take a second to thank our sponsor, Native Path Collagen. I love this stuff so much, and I'm going to tell you why. Most people don't notice collagen loss all at once. It kind of shows up quietly when your joints start to feel stiff in the morning and recovery takes longer, or maybe your skin, hair, and nails just don't bounce back like they used to. That is your body running low on collagen, the protein that helps hold everything together. And that's why I use Native Path Collagen. It focuses on only type 1 and type 3 collagen, the 2 forms that make up about 90% of the collagen in your body. No blends, no fillers, no sweeteners, just a single ingredient collagen that's third-party tested for heavy metals. It's completely flavorless, mixes easily into coffee or smoothies, and because it's in peptide form, your body absorbs it efficiently. I put it in my coffee every morning. I've bought it for my mom. I've gone through about 36 jars of this stuff, and can't you tell my hair just looks so healthy right now, right? Native Path has sold over 5 million jars, earned thousands of 5-star reviews, and backs everything with a 365-day no-risk guarantee. Right now, you can save big on bundle deals when you use this link. Ready? Go to getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover or click the link in the show notes and support the strength and mobility you want for the long haul. In finance news, Nathan's Famous, the hot dog brand that started as a 5-cent stand on Coney Island over 100 years ago, has been sold. The company is being acquired by Smithfield Foods in an all-cash deal worth $450 million. Smithfield is one of the largest packaged meat producers in the world. Meanwhile, President Trump is pressing Congress to step in on credit card interest rates. On Wednesday, he urged lawmakers to pass a bill that would cap credit card APRs at 10%. This follows his recent social media post directing banks to voluntarily reduce their rates, something consumer groups say could significantly reshape the lending market if it moves forward. And in housing, pending home sales took an unexpected dive. The National Association of Realtors says signed contracts for existing homes fell 9.3% from November, even though analysts were predicting a slight increase. The drop highlights how affordability issues and limited inventory are still weighing heavily on the market. Here's how the stock market performed yesterday. It was a strong day on Wall Street. The Nasdaq rose 1.18%, the S&P 500 gained 1.16%, and the Dow climbed 1.21%. Bitcoin continued its upward trend, up 1.92% to just over 90,000. Gold also moved higher, gaining 1.48%, while silver was the lone pullback of the day, slipping 1.66%. Oil saw a modest rise of about 0.5%. One lucky mover was Lucid. The electric automaker stock surged nearly 18% after the company announced new support for expanding its manufacturing operations in Saudi Arabia. In sports, the Australian Open just broke another record. Tournament officials say 103,720 fans poured through the gates yesterday, the highest single-day attendance in the event's history. It was a packed slate of matches, including Aryna Sabalenka's commanding win over Bai Zhou and Carlos Alcaraz taking center court in a strong victory over Yannick Hanfmann. The Open has been drawing huge crowds all week as the early rounds wrap up. In baseball, two big names are officially headed to Cooperstown. The Baseball Hall of Fame has voted Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones into the 2026 class, joining Jeff Kent, who was elected last month through a separate committee process. The trio represents a mix of offensive power and elite defense, rounding out what will be a closely watched induction ceremony next summer. And on the golf course, the Mitsubishi Electric Championship tees off today in Hawaii. It's the opening event of the PGA Tour Champion season, featuring several Hall of Famers and past champions competing for a $2 million purse. Fans can expect a field stacked with veteran talent as the three-day tournament gets underway. In science and technology, researchers have unveiled a new medical innovation that could change emergency care. It's a spray-on powder that instantly turns into a gel the moment it touches blood, sealing even deep wounds in about 1 second. Scientists say it could be a major breakthrough for battlefield medics and first responders because it stops bleeding far faster than current tools. And in tech, OpenAI is rolling out new age prediction technology for ChatGPT. The system is designed to identify users who may be under 18 and automatically direct them to a safer version of the platform, one that filters out sensitive material like graphic violence or self-harm content. The company says it's part of an effort to tighten guardrails around AI use by minors. All right, let's end with some additional interesting headlines in a section that we call Etc. section. French President Emmanuel Macron made headlines at Davos this week, but not for policy. He appeared indoors wearing bright blue aviator sunglasses, which raised some eyebrows until the LSA explained he's dealing with a subconjunctival hemorrhage. That's essentially a broken blood vessel in the eye. In the design world, an everyday object just got a very playful makeover. Designer Mario Paroli has taken the classic Bic crystal pen and blown it up 12 times its normal size to create a statement lamp celebrating the pen's 75th anniversary. The piece is intentionally absurd and cheeky, turning something familiar from your desk drawer into oversized pop art. And for fast food fans, McDonald's may be bringing a cult favorite to the United States by March. It's called the Big Arch Burger, a 14-ounce double patty heavyweight that's already developed a following overseas thanks to its big arch sauce and over-the-top size. The company hasn't officially confirmed the launch date yet, but industry watchers say it's getting close. You've made it to the poll section, so here's the results of yesterday's. Are you a stomach, side, or back sleeper? Coming in first place at 36% was side sleepers. 19% said no single position. 17% said back. 15% said stomach. And 13% said other. Once again, thank you so much to everyone who voted. I love reading the questions and the answers the next day. And speaking of, here's today's poll question. I don't want to start a fight, but do you consider a hot dog a sandwich? Either yes or no. I know that this has been a long-standing debate, but just a quick thing to think about. Is a hamburger a sandwich? I mean, it is two pieces of bread with a burger in the middle, and similar to a hot dog, which is two longer pieces of bun with a hot dog in the middle. So my point is this. If a burger is not considered a sandwich, then a hot dog is also not considered one. So I'm voting no. I think it's its own special category. You can vote in the show notes. Prove me wrong, maybe, or maybe we'll be on the same side. I will read the answers in tomorrow's episode. All right, the trivia question is this. Which state had the first commercial television station west of the Mississippi River? The answer is KTLA in Los Angeles. It was the first commercial TV station west of the Mississippi. It signed on in 1947, broadcasting to fewer than 1,000 TV sets and featuring big names like Bob Hope and Mickey Rooney. Its K call letters follow the rule that stations west of the Mississippi start with the letter K. So KTLA went on to shape modern TV news, including pioneering continuous live coverage and the first helicopter shots. That is going to do it for today's Thursday edition of the Flyover Podcast. Thanks for spending part of your morning or your day with me. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week and get you ready for the weekend. Until then, have a great day and thanks for flying with us.